Hello, I'm back. I've put my hay bale into a knot. And I'm going to do the last observation video here, and it's a quick one. It's on page 80. No, I haven't got my glasses on. Page 45 in the booklet. Sorry, God. Blind as a bat. And it's overt participant observation. So let's just stop and think what that is. Overt. We know that means people know you're watching. So ethically, instantly, that's better, because in theory you can get informed consent, and therefore people are going to know they're part of your sample and there's less deceit involved. The one that I want you to have a look at, I've given you some notes in the book, and it's Sudhir, I can never quite pronounce this, Venkatesh. And you can look it up on the internet. There's lots of, if you put in gang leader for a day, Sudhir Venkatesh, there are lots of videos of him talking about this piece of research. And it's flipping fascinating. It really is. He wants to, he's kind of young, aspiring sociologist, like I once was, and full of hopes and dreams, and they were battered out of him. And he went to look at what it was like to be a gang in Chicago on what he calls a housing project. It's what we might think of as a kind of tipped estate, like quite a rundown estate in the UK, but this one is called a housing project. So he knows that this housing project is kind of controlled by someone called JT, who is the kind of drug lord, and has really assumed control of this entire neighbourhood for better or worse. Now, initially, lovely Sudhir, full of enthusiasm, goes and kind of hands out, or does, I think it's an interview or questionnaire, and kind of says, what's it like being a gang leader? What's it like being poor? And clearly the guy's like, do one, love, jog on. But JT, the gang leader, is an interesting character. He has been to university, really educated, but somehow has kind of chosen to make money illegitimately instead, and has gone back to his roots. But maybe that's why he had more kind of interest in this piece of research. And he says to Sudhir, you can be part of my gang, join my gang. Now, it's over in that JT knows he is a sociologist, and yet the rest of the gang don't. And so to what extent it's over, you could certainly debate. It is participant. So he joins in this group and gets a real kind of taste, high Vestayan, high validity for what life it's fine, it's just something in my throat, it's nothing to worry about in these strange times. He really does get a bird's eye view of what it's like to be in a drug gang on a rundown estate. He is meant to do it for like a couple of weeks, which is quite a long piece of research. Ends up staying 9 years. Now, you read into that what you will. That to me suggests that this very unpleasant term, one of the disadvantages called going native, I think that's such a vile term, has occurred, where he's lost all objectivity and has actually basically joined the gang. He's got way too involved with this group, which time I think you must give up some of your objectivity, to say the least. Ow, my back's hurting. Just before I came back on the video, I fell backwards off this stool and landed uncomfortably, and it was uncomfortable for the dog as well, I'm afraid. So I'm looking a bit awkward now. My life, this is great. Okay, so have a look at that, see what you think. Gang leader for a day. And then on page 47, there is space as ever. I know it's getting quite boring, just write pros and cons of this research using the key terms, but it is literally the best practice for the exam possible, because in the end that's what you're going to have to do, using examples, using key concepts, talk about pros and cons of the research. So if you could have a look at that. I'm trying off the top of my head to think of another example of overt participant observation. I mean, you could use hypothetical examples that if you were perhaps a TA or someone else involved in a school, you could actually do overt participant observation quite effectively in a classroom. All right, you have a look through that. Think of some of the pros and cons, and then we'll go through them. Obviously, you're going to ping them to me next week, but we'll go through them when I get back. All right, we're going to go on to secondary sources next, so I'll come back in a bit. I may change the scenery. All right, bye-bye.